Okay. I'm assuming everybody can hear me because I can talk very loud, so it's not an issue. So I'm Diane Morgan. I'm with a company named Kofax out of Irvine, California. And I did do a presentation, I don't know if you saw it or not, at lunch, but basically about Koufax and what we're doing around mobility. And specifically in the Koufax environment, what we're doing around mobility is around mobile image capture. Using the camera in your phone to capture an image of a document that you either want to extract information from to auto-populate a form or a process for one of your constituents, or to capture an image of a document to push it into a back office process. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But I'm going to run through this video and just kind of give you a little bit about what Kofax does. And then we're going to do some demonstrations at the end too.
Today, constituents are sophisticated and connected enough to like you or leave you with a simple swipe or click. Think about how constituents react to benefits enrollment, claim submissions, and other kinds of applications. Are they fast and easy or slow and painful? Good or bad, these initial information-intensive communications with constituents shape their perception of your organization and have an impact on your organization's efficiency. At Kofax, we call this the first mile challenge. Organizations that provide a positive constituent experience by making the first mile smarter will experience operational efficiency and grow. Here are 7 ways that Kofax can help make your first mile smarter. Leverage mobility to enhance their experience. When you provide the flexibility to submit documents from mobile devices, rather than mail, fax, or even hand delivery, you improve service and meet your constituents where they are. Reduce time between engagement and action. Latency becomes a thing of the past when captured information is automatically entered into the business process with no human intervention. And in today's world, faster transaction time is not only better, it's expected. Empower constituents and increase their visibility. Keeping constituents engaged and informed via web portal, text, or email communications enables them to gain visibility and control the process. Reduce complexity and effort to drive costs down. Giving constituents the ability to self-serve in the manner they choose minimizes the burden on your knowledge workers. Respond to changes quickly for better constituent service. When you can dynamically increase the priority of various constituent responses and reassign tasks to other resources, the process is smarter and faster. Gain visibility and continually improve your processes. Arming your staff with real-time, in-process adjustable views of all types of information helps them make better decisions faster. And finally, make it easy to connect systems of record with systems of engagement. Creating a smart process application link between the ways you communicate with constituents and the systems that run your organization improves efficiency without costly custom integrations. Are you ready to better engage your constituents in the first mile of business? Now, more than ever, is the time to make those first steps in every constituent relationship fast, easy, simple, and smart. For more information, visit Kofax.com.
Or listen to me. So I wanted to start with a visual, and I'll end with a visual because we're going to do some demos at the end too. But a couple things about mobile image capture. Any mobile experience is always a real-time experience. It's an interaction that's a dialogue between you and your constituents. So you're either affirming to them, I've captured your information, we're all good to go, or you're having an actual dialogue of an exchange of information. Because I am going to show you how mobile imaging works, but any technology isn't going to be 100% accurate all the time. So you have to have that ability to manage the exceptions, as well as to have an interaction with a constituent who maybe they've populated something, but you didn't capture all the information in one line. So what do you do then? Do you abandon the process? No, you just say, can you put this information in this one line? Because then putting information in one line is still a whole lot more of a positive experience than putting information in a dozen or more lines. So assuming I can get this to move, which so far I'm having no luck doing. Okay. Maybe just kind of locked up here a little bit. Oh, good. It's not responding. Okay, so this is where I'll talk a little bit more. We're going to go into, like I said, I don't know what happened here, but maybe that video locked it all up, about the mobile image capture capability and what we do. But as I mentioned, it's a near real-time experience. And Koufax is a company based in Irvine. We do a lot of image capture capabilities, not just in mobile, but across multiple channels. If you want to, oh, good, all right. That's all right. I got an engineer to help me, so that's all good. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, it's really about the self-service experience. Thank you. So mobile tends to be the preferred channel, but we can have a constituent jump from one channel experience to another. They just want a continuum of what they're doing. And the real driver is that most prefer to be in a self-service environment. I mean, I know personally, I would rather go on a chat session with a customer support rep than have to call someone, especially if my call gets transferred to someone who's reading through a script and I don't have the patience to have them go through the script. I'm sure most of you are more patient than I am, but usually folks you're dealing with probably are more similar to me. So what do you get when you look at mobile as an innovation? And it's not about innovating for innovating purposes. It's about innovating because you want to provide a better experience, something more convenient, easier, and dare I say fun. I know that in the financial services industry, when people talk about making banking fun, people scoff at that. But what's really happened is banks have made it fun. When I talked earlier about BBVA doing gamification around the MBA program, it's still all about banking, but they're enticing people with a game, and they're getting them involved and engaged. And so taking a picture, taking a document image of something with your camera device, people like it. It makes them feel, I don't know, like, ooh, I did something. So it's a faster transaction, it's a better experience, and it's a better overall service model. Here's just an example of from a Kofax perspective, we look at mobile as an ingestion point. So it's just another portal, whether you have a web portal, a fax, a scanner, your traditional mail. It just complements what's already existing out there and can continue to support that. It doesn't have to stand alone. It can incorporate everything else that you're doing. So we do service it as one process. We don't care what channel the information or document is ingested from. We can then push it through your automation process regardless. So even in mobile, you have what we call mobile channel. So what we're really doing is we're dropping technology into a mobile native app, and we're controlling the camera device. So either that's being dropped into a native app, or through a hybrid app like a phone gap or accelerator or something like that if you're using a hybrid wrapper as part of your technology. And in the mobile web, you can do some web capture capabilities as well. What you can't really do is drive a camera control from a mobile device to a web-enabled kind of portal that just basically doesn't allow you the control of the camera. So HTML5 is a capability that we have as well, but HTML5 has its limitations just based on kind of the technology that's out in the marketplace today. But we happen to have a distributed processing architecture. So we actually put like a software development kit inside the camera where we're taking control of that camera device. And then all the heavy lifting, the extraction, and all that process that you might see taking place on the phone happens on a server that's sitting behind a firewall securely somewhere. So it's a distributed process, and the two are actually dialoguing together and having an information exchange. And as phones continue to grow more and more powerful, that distribution model will push more technology to the device side. So right now, in my company, you'll hear the term OCR, like, oh, you're just OCRing that off of that document. We're not actually doing, for the most part, the OCR reading on the device. It's really done on the server side, but device side OCR is continuing to push more and more to the consumer. because it's faster, it's more accurate, and it's a better experience. So that distributed processing model makes sense, but also as devices become more and more power function feature oriented, you'll continue to see more of that distribution process. So let's look at mobile capture for just a second. As I mentioned, we have on the device side, native hybrid imaging capabilities. We're going to recognize what type of a document it is. We're actually going to do some preliminary classification. So if I prompted you to take a picture of a W-2, and I needed a 2012, and you actually imaged a 2011 document, or 13 to me, I can classify on that document, yes, it's a W-2, oh, no, you didn't send me the right year, and before it even continues on in that experience, let the consumer or the constituent know they have the wrong document. Because I want to stop the process as if it's not completely accurate there, as opposed to letting it round trip all the way back to the server and then say, oh, we didn't get a good image, it was out of focus, etc. In the camera device, what you're doing is you're taking, I mean, this may be obvious, but you're converting a 3D image into a flatbed scanner equivalent. So when you involve a constituent in some way, you lose control, because now they're controlling the camera. And so we need to be able to, from a technology perspective, overcome warping, lighting, skewing, out of focus, distance. You know, they took it upside down, they took it sideways, whatever they do, because they're going to do a lot of things, okay? But you still want to prompt them with information. If they do something wrong, like they took the wrong document, you still want to say, oops, so sorry, you took the wrong document, and then have them take the right one. Because with that prompting and that education, they'll get it very, very quickly, but they need that kind of assisted learnings and kind of best practices. So once we capture that image, we shrink that image down to like a 10K file size. We send it via an SSL to a server that sits on the platform side. And on the platform side is where we do all the heavy lifting. It's where we would do traditional capture OCR, ICR capabilities. We can go pull information off of a driver's license, and we could call out to a known source of driver's license truth data. So let's say you know who your constituents are, you have their file information listed somewhere, you have their driver's license within a file. You want to go look up, oh, well, I read Diane's license and it says her driver's license is N4771834, but in her file it says it's N877, 234, which is right. So you can use a truth data source to always override what the technology did if you wanted to, or you could push back to a customer a multiple choice table. Is it this one or is it that one? Again, a constituent would rather just tap and say it's that one. They don't really care if they have a pull down menu unless it's so long they can't read it. But if they have the option to choose between source A or source B, that still is a very positive experience for them. So there's little things you do in your mobile design and usability to make it all about kind of making that fluidity and that kind of intuitive type of process take place on the application. And within our platform, we have that ability to call out to other sources of data because that's good to know. We also have an analytics and BI dashboard. And I talked earlier about the speed of mobile, and I probably did not speak at length to it, but mobile is changing and evolving quickly. And when your constituents have something that doesn't work or didn't work perfectly, what you want to do is continue to build on that experience so it continues to improve. So we have an analytics dashboard where we can see what was the accuracy on that device. Was it an Android because they don't have the autofocus capabilities where most of our constituents are having problems and we want to put different prompts to them? Or is it that the person we can't read driver's license very well in Montana, but we rock it in California, So it just gives you information about what's going on, and you can actually drill down to see the specifics. And by that I mean every exception. And then you can manage those exceptions because we have some real-time training capability where you can invoke new information into the OCR intelligence and the pattern recognition software capabilities and then train it so that it continues to get smarter and there's a continuous improvement program. So we kind of talk to you can't measure what you can't see, and having a dashboard based on analytics that gives you visibility into what's taking place in mobile will continue to help you enhance the mobile experience. So that's just a little kind of overview on Koufax and how we approach the marketplace. But at the end of the day, there's 3 elements that you want to consider in a mobile image capture environment. And they are really about controlling the experience, capturing the content, and then analyzing it to make sure it's accurate. So I'm going to show you some demos in a bit, but controlling the experience is important because remember we talked about the fact that we can't control the constituents, so we just need to guide them. You see here like a frame where it's prompting hold it steady, or it's, you know, you're too close, you're too far. You could have it be, you know, a bullseye where you have them, you know, hone in on what it is they're trying to capture so that they feel engaged, that they know what they're doing. And within our technology, we can do auto capture or we could have it be manual capture. So if you get a focused image of a document that you wish to capture, we can have the SDK set up to auto capture it so they don't have to push the button. And that's important because sometimes when people move, then all of a sudden everything goes out of focus. So any type of image capture capability, you're always predicated by a good image in, better accuracy, and automated processing out. So it does start with getting as clean and perfect of an image as possible. And we use a technology that enables that to take place because we clean and perfect that image. We'll separate black, white, color images. We can take multiple documents of any type, but we want to be able to automatically read them. So as machine readable like as it can be is the goal of ours. But for the goal of your constituent, it's just that it works the first time and they don't have to retake the document and retake the photo. So within that, you have a tap, you have an ease of use, and you have a hovering technology. So the hover is kind of like I could just hover and auto capture, but we're also creating a hover technology where you could actually just wand over several documents, and then it could capture like 3 or 4 documents at the same time, separate those, order those, and push them through. We don't have that out yet, but it's on the roadmap and probably will be forthcoming in the next, I would say, realistically 3 quarters. And we're constantly putting new things in. I talked to this earlier, but people will say, well, can you do facial recognition for like knowing your customer or fraud prevention? And we don't do facial recognition software per se, but at the same time, you know, you could convert to a FaceTime dialogue anytime you wanted to via the phone because FaceTime's there on an iPhone device, or there's facial recognition companies and software out there, you just plug and play it in. So a mobile app can just have all sorts of different things plugged into it as you see appropriate, as you see fit. Any questions so far? Okay. Capturing the context. So again, and I think I beat this to a dead horse a little bit, but it's all about self-service. It's all about making it fast, convenient, and easy to use. We're going to extract the data, auto-populate it, and present it back in a visual layer on the device so that someone can then tap the experience, tap the information, and validate it as true and real. You'll see in this particular picture, there's green, yellow conditions on the far right side. I'm not saying it has to be that way, but you could create a mobile app experience where in our technology, you set confidence level scores. And let's say you could create green, yellow, red light conditions. You set a confidence level score at a scale of 0 to 1,000. Anything over 800 gets a green light. Anything between 8 and 600 gets a yellow light where you've asked them to go back and is this right type of environment. And red is just we can't read it. Either take it again or enter this one line yourself. So I will just tell you that from my experience, and I've been in the mobile imaging space for about 4 years now, when customers first started taking images of checks, you know, they weren't real great at it. But typically by the 2nd or 3rd time you've captured a check, you know what you're doing. So, and people test things. You know, they take a picture of their knee to see if that works, or, you know, they'll take a picture of their check and they'll take it upside down, and people like to do crazy things. So it's like, okay, that's fine. But what happens is they also get taught very quickly how to do it to make it work correctly. So It is important in your mobile apps that you give tutorials and some guidance and some interesting kind of feedback to them. But I will also tell you that the learning curve for most constituents is very, very small, and that they will learn how to do it no less than the second or third time and really be able to really proceed with it successfully. And then the third part of the element I mentioned is the analytics, having the actionable insight to sort out what's going on. In the case of Koufax, we can read this by device type. We can know if it's, the iPhone 6 is working well, the Fire phone actually is very fast, what your response times are, what your OCR are, where you're having exceptions, so that you have a view or a report that's pulled up in a real-time dynamic fashion to understand what the mobility experience is, so that you can take correctionable, actionable tactics to make it more powerful at that point in time. So controlling the experience, it is a patented image process that we use. So somebody asked me, if you don't know who Kofax is, we've been around about 25 years. We're a global company based in Irvine. We have over 20,000 customers. Our verticals that we actually have the largest footprint in are financial services, government, and really healthcare. So that's where we're primarily focused. But we've taken the core technology that has been tried and true and proven at Koufax with over 20,000 customers, and then we ported it and extended it into the mobile offering. So we use something called virtual rescan, and virtual rescan is just that. It's perfecting that document in a virtual way so that it can lift off the information to read and auto-populate it. And that VRS capability is probably in every multifunction scanning device you have today, because we've actually OEM'd it to all the MF scanners, multifunction scanner manufacturers, and then we ported it into our mobile SDK offering. So it's easy. You can create the GUI experience you want. We're like and we're not an applet, so I'm saying it incorrectly, but think of us like an applet that gets dropped into your app that just takes over that camera control at the point in time you need to inject the camera device capability. Poor images in, low app satisfaction out, as I talked to earlier. Capturing the information, we're going to auto-enter everything possible. We do also have 140 languages that we support. So if you have a bilingual mobile app, you need to read Spanish, you need to read whatever, French, whatever you need to read. I mean, we have the language dictionaries to be able to incorporate that. So many of the kind of mobile capture deposit providers, especially those who served what's called in the banking community as the underbanked, or maybe the unbanked, where maybe they don't fit into a traditional financial services model, and they're using, payroll cards, stored value cards, or gift cards. A lot of them have Spanish apps. They want to be able to top off their stored value card by depositing the funds into that stored value card, or a government payroll check that goes right onto a stored value card, so they can walk into any store they want and then use the stored value card just as it was like a credit or debit card. So again, just any image that you can almost imagine, you can use to create a self-service use case for. And then here's controlling the experience around a driver's license. So again, you can leverage the data and extend it for proof of identity, proof of residency, income verification, student lending, benefits enrollment, knowing your customer, citizenship, whatnot. And this is the typical information that's extracted from a driver's license, but I also want to state that the metadata you take off of any document you want is really driven by you. So we create some kind of what we call frameworks or standard kind of concepts around what we think you want. But if you say, well, I want a driver's license, but I don't want the picture, we can make sure the picture doesn't come across. Or you do want the picture, we can make sure we hand you that. We're going to parse that image to you. We're going to hand it off, and you can either store it, you could purge it, you can do whatever you want with the image, because once the mobile experience is done, we're passing that information on to you, but again, that's all within your control what you want to do with that information. Here's an example of a vehicle registration and the information we're pulling off of that. I have a company I worked with that's called Ticket Bust, And what they do is actually negotiate you getting out of a ticket, should you get one. And you take a picture of the ticket you just received from your friendly CHP officer. And then you take a driver's license and you hand it off to them, and they go negotiate you getting out of that ticket. So that's what they're doing in the state of California. And they actually are using mobile to capture, sorry, but it's just like that first notice of loss claim I was talking about earlier. When you get, especially customers or constituents who are in a high stress environment, I don't know if it's just because we're becoming more and more, me, but it's like, I want to solve this problem, I want to solve it now. I just got a ticket, I'm mad, I'm angry, take a picture, boom, 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 good, you go do it. And then they're done, they go on with their day. So any kind of high stress or convenience you can offer customers with their, enrolling in a process or doing something that's like, it just isn't something they want to do with their day, and you can make that go away quickly. That's kind of use cases that really have the best adoption and the best customer and constituent experience. And then this is just a graphical of the drill down. This is truly a drill down. So it's just a web-based URL. You're pulling it up, you're slicing and dicing the data any way you see fit. You can keep driving it down at levels of detail. You can control by security who gets to see what data, but it gives you that true visual and real-time dashboard experience so that you can get historical statistics and analysis to, again, continue to improve your mobile experience. So any document, any type, it's just a tap and a photo or two. That's more or less what we try and convey as far as a message, to meet your constituents where they are, how they want to be served, whatever time they want to be served at via their preferred channel. And I talked earlier about a number of different document types that could be captured, but VINs, claims forms, any type of form that it doesn't even have to be, it doesn't have to be a structured document. It can be unstructured, handwritten, it can be semi-structured. We can capture that information. Not all the information can always be extracted, but all the information can be captured and pushed to a process. So, but if you want extraction, we can more than likely do that. It just depends. Receipts is an example where it gets a little bit tricky. If you have like a standard receipt, but when you start getting into a long receipt, then you have to stitch together multiple pages, and you're trying to read what we call level 3 data. And usually if it's coming off of a cash register, it's not a very good image to begin with. That gets trickier. So, it still has limitations, but it's typically better than any other alternative experience out there. And these are just some of the use cases. I said claims, lending, expense, proof of, whatever you might need in that regard. So now let's walk to the demo. Okay, let me find my glasses, because I need those. And I need to hook this up. Ooh. All right, any questions while I'm trying to get this going?
How well does it do with handwritten?
Well, it can read a signature pretty well. I don't know. Actually, Brian, can you answer that?
So yeah, what we can do is we use a concept called diversify, find critical components on
Why can't I get this in?
there's something that is viable that can actually provide a quick go back into this piece of paper. So the goal would be not to read the entire item, but be able to find just enough critical components.
Ah, got it.
And then have it provide a link to that. Obviously, handwriting, yeah, prescription, doctor's prescription type handwriting.
Okay, now I got a video I want.
From a case, a case number or something that's relevant, then you can use that very, very well.
So really well on a form, but probably not so well with notes.
Well, no, so you can find, like I said, if there's an embedded, like,
Oh, there we go.
teacher's
Ah.
retirement type,
Oh, we can see my passcode.
application. Somebody writes in and says, I want to purchase additional service on my account. Here's my case number, my case ID, and it's all handwritten. We can actually go in and find that case number, case ID, and use that to classify the person that's going to question.
Just a question. So, person has to have a document, it's in possession. If they happen to be in a place where somebody requests something, like, you know, I know I'm or statement or something, and I pull it up on the computer, and it gives me a picture of that document on the screen.
Well, there's other technologies that we can do from a data integration standpoint. We can use, we have integration tools that can go and capture screenshots and add them into a process. So that wouldn't be the most viable method for that, but there's other tools that we can probably
These
use.
are has not, print out, depending on what public place.
Well, yeah, or I can actually add a tool that can actually go and take that screen capture and bring it into the process. Or I can link back to some record of data that we have, for instance. There's other ways to do that.
And if you thought that that was going to be something that was ongoing, then that would be just part of the app that you're going to push out to the end user, the constituent, and that would be one of the choices, right? Besides taking a photo, be the screen capture, right? And then you have the little tutorial about how to go do that.
The other thing that's relevant to what you said is maybe someone has their driver's license, but you want another document and they don't have a utility bill in their pocket. Okay, go figure. So, that's something where they go back on later on and then they send that in as a supporting or a trailing document. Because usually a mobile interaction, that's why I made the comment earlier that sometimes it's a all-in-one process, and sometimes it's an iterative process where you're supporting a process you've already started, and maybe you started it by walking into an office, or maybe you started it online, but now you're following up via mobile. So it can play either supporting role or primary role depending on your use case. But it's very often that it's an iterative process because everybody's not walking around with a chain of documents. But if I can go home and pull out that utility bill and snap it on my kitchen counter and I'm done, that's fine. I mean, I happen to have a scanner at home, but a lot of people don't. And very few people have fax machines anymore. So it just becomes like, well, how do I get this over to you quickly and easily? Everybody has a mobile phone.
Well, I'm thinking too, as things are evolving, with less and less paper,
Right.
I mean, you get utility bills, right, on the screen, obviously.
I do agree with that, but paper is also, I've heard paper's going away for 20 years now. So it's like, I think we'll continue to have less and less paper, but I think paper will still always exist. I don't know. Call me old school, but that's what I think. Okay, so I'm going to do a driver's license. And we have a customer who wanted to test driver's license copies. And I thought, well, that's crazy because it's not going to be as good as a real driver's license. But I decided to make a copy of my driver's license and see how it worked. And it works pretty well. Now, I will say in driver's license, because they're created not to be counterfeited more than any other document, you're dealing with seals, reflections, and all sorts of embossing that makes it more challenging. So it's one of the more difficult documents actually to read from an automated process because of all the things you do to not make a driver's license easy to read. But what I'm going to show you is, this is just the demo app that we have, and Brian and the team right outside can also show you this all day long. But here's an example, and I apologize, but it is a bank, and someone would be applying for an account, but it could be, just envision it being a program enrollment the same way. So I apply for an account, I get a prompt that says, do you want to take a photo of your driver's license? Or would you opt to manually input all that information? Well, most people are going to pick option 1, okay? So this is where, in your experience, you'd pull up a set of tutorials, and some have videos. It just depends on how deep you want to go with your educational process, but you do need to educate them what you want to do. You can have them put it on a dark surface. It just makes for a better contrast, but it's not an absolute. If you've seen pictures of like the Bryan brothers taking a picture of their check when they won some tournament, you really can take documents in different manners, but most people don't take a picture of a document by holding it up. They actually place it on a flat surface because that's what they know to do, and it makes sense. So here's an example where I'm going to go in and, I'm going to capture my driver's license. And so it's telling me to move closer and hold steady, and then it auto-captured it. I didn't do anything. And I just used this information, and I would now, if I had a real driver's license, I could be prompted to capture the barcode. The reason we do the barcode is because if there is a barcode, we're going to hit it at 100% accuracy. So, and I can also do verification. Did what I read on the front correlate with what I read in the barcode? And that does give me some instant verification that this is not a counterfeit driver's license. But since this doesn't have a barcode, I'm going to skip that. And then there's the information that it extracted. So there's a picture of my image, and then there's the information about where I live and how old I am. Woo, okay. So that's kind of how we do driver's license, but it could be a passport, it could be a student ID, it could be any type of identification type you wanted. We just have to build the intelligence of the pattern recognition capability behind it to read it. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to log in as a user, and I'm going to go in and pay a bill. So here's an example of a bill coupon that I have, and this could be because I'm going to auto pay every month, or this could be because you want to know where I live and it matches my driver's license, or this could be this is the automatic payment that you're going to set up to have debited from your account on a regular basis. So in this example, I'm going to pay a bill, and I'm going to prompt make a payment, and then I'm going to get a different tutorial that tells me what to do with the payment coupon. And we are taking a picture of a coupon, but from a Koufax perspective, I just want to say this could be a full-page invoice, this can be two-page invoice, this could be something else, but I'm going to just use the coupon as an example. I'm going to get the same kind of framing going on, and you can see that I'm actually shadowing my body over it, which is kind of typical of taking a picture when you're holding a camera. So we are going to overcome that shadow and that skewing capability, and I'm going to turn that 3D image into a flatbed scanner equivalent, and then there's the information about my bill right there. And you can see how fast it works too. Yep.
Is that being done then on the phone, or is that going to the server?
That's going to my demo server in Irvine. So I'm cleaning up the image on the phone. I'm calling out, I'm actually on Wi-Fi here. And that is the part you can't always control is, the Wi-Fi network or something. And then I should also say that once that image is, when I'm done here and I hit yes, and it's confirmed that I paid that bill, that image then is not on my camera roll. It's taken off and it's sent to the server, and on the server side you can keep the image should you want to, but if somebody were to lose their phone, it's not sitting on that camera roll, it's just cached in memory during that session. And then finally I'll show you a check. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and deposit. Again, I get a like experience, and it's a little tutorial. And this is an example where it's going to tell me to take the front and the back of the check. And this is for deposit, but it could be also for payment enrollment. Okay, I hold steady, I use that. Now it says turn it over and take a picture of the back. Turn it over. And then there's the check amount that's been deposited, $17.01. Yeah. You can do different things, though, I do want to say. Like you could, like there are some competitors who they can't do classification, so they'll have you go down and pick the state you're taking a driver's license in, okay? But then you have to scroll through 50 states. Well, that's because they can't classify it. So we classify it, so we don't need that prompt. But sometimes you might want that prompt. You're taking an ID. Do you want to have them choose passport, driver's license, or whatever? Because you might just want that information. So that's really all about how you want to create your experience that you push out to the constituent. But no, I'm not needing it to identify it.
Is that identification done on the phone, or is it saying
That identification is actually done on the phone. So not to get too into the Kofax technology, but what we do on the phone is we do the image perfection, the classification, and the review. And then, so it's like I get 3 check marks. Yes, I got a good image. Yes, it's the image I wanted a picture of. And yes, it's the right image, like year, like the W-2 or, whatever. And then if it's a good image, it's going to package it up, shrink that file way down to like about a 10K size on average, send it via an SSL, a web services call to a server that's sitting behind the firewall. And then that's where the extraction is taking place. and then I could do a lookup there, and I can send it back. But all that's happening just in as fast as you saw it work on my phone. So it's completely transparent to your constituent. I mean, they're not sitting there, you know, waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's not a lookup to a database record where it's having to go through each record. It's using a technology that we have that's called associate search. So it's looking at context to see if there's a search that matches. But let's say you had a LexisNexis database or DMV record database that you can access. It doesn't have to be a database within your environment. You can call out to anything, extract it, validate it, and input it. But it is still happening. I mean, I know it sounds a little kind of Wizard of Oz-like, but it's all behind the curtains where the user is not realizing all the heavy lifting that's going on in the background because they're just, you're giving them a little prompt or something and they see a wheel spinning and they think things are working. And then they work. And then if it didn't work, it'd come back with a text message that said, bad image, retake, or whatever the information is you want to return to them. So, any questions?
Got one.
Okay.
Is this mainly for iPhone or phones?
No, actually, it's Android and iPhones, and the standard for the phone is 2 megapixel with an autofocus capability and above. But I can tell you, it works across the gamut of phones. The more newer releases of the phone, the quality of the camera's gone way up. Like the iPad 1, the camera was a video camera, not a camera. iPad 2 version was more of a camera that was not for video. So with the newer releases, the camera quality has gotten better, which we kind of have to tap into. But you can go pretty far back in time and it still works.
So where IHSS, Home Supportive Services, is piloting mobile devices to go out and have home visits with clients and they take pictures of particular documents that are signed and of course driver's licenses actually signed right on
The device?
an iPad, Microsoft Surface, an Helix tablet. So functionality will be the same on those type of devices.
I mean, you could go to our website. Yes, but if you went, not to send you to our website, but even on our website is all the different devices that we support. So, I mean, it is a pretty extensive list. And then you mentioned that signature validation. I mean, we just acquired a company called SoftPro, where we're basically going to be integrating electronic signature verification as part of that enrollment or onboarding process. So that somebody can just sign on the device and they're good to go. Okay. I guess I'm done. Thank you.